All right.
What's up, my friends? Bret,
Hey.
you finally get to see us in living color. This is nice. I like this. It's different too. So, I've been warning y'all, well, mainly on Read Your Bible, the other podcast. I'll be like, hey guys, I'll be like, the app we use is the app kind of is changing up on us, and it's different. It's different, because we have to use like video formatting now instead of just like the whole microphone situation, and I was comfortable with that microphone situation. This is gonna be the world's longest intro, Brett.
We'll get there eventually.
Yeah, eventually, one day or another. And I don't know. It's weird. This is something I have to get used to. But one of my friends, Brother David, I shared a picture. I'll share that on Facebook. Facebook is Mind of Joe. It's a group with the picture on it. So
What kind of picture, Joe?
the Mind of Joe podcast profile picture.
Okay.
Same with the Read Joe Bible, but it's the Read Joe Bible podcast profile picture. So Brother David, I have a friend who's a pastor, and he started doing up like, all right, hey, we're gonna do this differently. He takes it not with a grain of salt, but he interchanges the Bible. He doesn't interchange the Bible, but he words things different.
Make it fun.
Yeah, he intrigues people into the Bible. And if you're just like, oh, the Bible is just a book, that's a whole kind of twist and turn case to take into it. But, he was actually one of the first people that got me onto, he didn't get me onto anything, but he got me interested in learning this whole iMovie, this whole video formatting situation. And shout out to worst preacher ever, Dirk the Rev on YouTube. And so that's his video podcast. With the whole video podcasting kind of coming up, it's going to be different for us. But and I actually haven't found out like a title for this episode. Let's just call it the narrative.
Of what?
No, it's not of what. It's just the narrative. That's the whole intriguement.
Okay.
We're just gonna keep it interesting, and y'all are gonna hear what I have to narrate. I'm gonna narrate different events in my life that I haven't fully comprehended. And stuff could just be me, my mind, different things. So, to start us out, look, 4 minutes, we're already in. Like I said, we're getting used to this, but, and I don't know where I'm supposed to look either. This feels weird. This is, I don't know how they do it. So, to start us out, this is Bret.
Hey.
Live on
I'm
camera.
Bret.
Yeah. I said, this is Bret. I pointed to you.
Oh, that's letting him know.
So, if you've seen the first episode, thank you. If you haven't, then kind of a brief summary, I guess, of life. We come to church, which we're in right now. We're not in the middle of church. Don't say, hey, you're in the middle of church and recording a non-biblical podcast. Because I know some people who would say that. But we're in the church building right now. And so we go to church. We're going to talk about God on this podcast. We're going to talk about Bible stories on this podcast. And So the first thing starting out, in the first episode, I talked about me and Lindsay and Eli just standing around in the yard, which actually is opposite from our location right now. And so there's a man, and he is standing like this, and I can actually show them now. I feel good about it. And there's a mannequin, and he was just standing there like that. And I saw him. Well, my brain, what I comprehended was that I saw him. I was so scared that my brain actually put into viewing, hey, you saw this guy move, get freaked out kind of deal. And I've always been easily freaked out, we've we've done it to each other too many times to count. So that's my first story. So, and I've had a lot of different events, none that I would call like, it would be unusual, but it wouldn't be really, it wasn't mysterious. It wasn't really fully unknown. So there was one time when I was younger, I need to just recreate this whole time, not recreate the timeline, but write out the timeline. So there was one time I was little, and long story short, I was running around in our yard in our house, and I was like only a few months at this age, and my parents had been burning leaves. And, you're not going to think anything unusual of that. So they burnt leaves, and then that was 3 days later, I was out walking around outside. Well, I happened to step on said leaves. Ashes were still hot, which I couldn't comprehend that, so that's kind of unknown. It's some kind of scientist or something. But so I end up burning my feet. But I go to the hospital, the local hospital there, and, we've moved to Virginia, we've moved to different locations in Louisiana, just different stuff. But so I end up stepping on the ashes. And then they wrap it up. Well, Bret, you're not supposed to wrap up ashes. What are you supposed to do with like scraped up feet if you step in ashes that are still scalding?
Water?
You would think. And these people covered it. So here I am, still flaky feet.
Ash feet.
Ash feet.
Get some lotion.
Man, right? Something, anything. But they cover it up. I think they poured like lotion or something on it. And they wrapped it up. They're like, oh, that's good. You're not supposed to cover feet that are burning in the midst. And so my feet were still, which my mom actually thought I'd gotten into ants, like into an ant bed. But it wasn't an ant bed, it was the ash heap. And long story short, I go to the hospital then. I go to the other hospital after having my feet covered a few days later, and they had to scrape that skin, and it's a real vivid visual picture. And so that happened. There was one time, my favorite story I like to talk about. There's an older guy who used to come to church here with us, and he'd always give me peppermints, wouldn't think nothing weird. Hey, older guy gives a little boy peppermints, especially since I was a pastor's son. I'm not saying only the pastor's son got peppermints. I'm sure he gave peppermints out to most of the men, but it's like, okay, hey, I'll include you too kind of deal. And he didn't think anything of it. Well, one day I'm sitting outside, right out here in front of the sanctuary, and my mom realizes, which I don't know how, it's always my mother's intuition, I guess. But so,
You got a weird connection with your kids, so.
There you go. That'd be a good episode.
Oh, yeah.
Twin telepathy and mother's intuition. So I'm sitting out, and I'm sitting there turning blue. Blue, purple, I don't remember. She said a color. I go with blue, but it might have been purple. Whatever color you change when you're choking on something. So I'm chewing this peppermint, and this peppermint got stuck right there. And that sucker, man, it was a peppermint, not a sucker. But that thing, it went right down, and I'm like, well, maybe and I've always been particular about food, so like I'll just swallow stuff sometimes if it's like gum or something that I don't have to chew on the way down. And so I'll just swallow it, which I don't know if swallowing gum is really anything unhealthy. I don't know. But y'all look into that. I do the unknown. I'm not a scientist. We'll let the scientist in the crowd cover that one.
There is one.
If there is one, thank you, Bret.
I'm here for.
I don't know why I'm announcing. I'm like, hear ye. Man, all right. So this ended up happening, and so my dad's standing there, just finished a sermon, wasn't expecting one of his sons to be choking on a peppermint. So he kind of rolls with the flow. I don't know how he did this, but he like stretches my mouth so sticks his whole hand down my throat and pulls out the peppermint just like that. I still have the x-rays. That's going up on Facebook. The x-rays, not the peppermint. The peppermint's probably way gone by now. That was like...
Sure, there's better ways to do it.
That was near about 20 to 17 or 18 years ago. Yeah, there was probably a better way to do it, but the ambulance had just gotten there. The ambulance wasn't even there. And so they laid me down, and they're like, well, if we lay him down, we can do something. And Dad's like, okay. And snags that peppermint straight out of there. To how you can just walk and take that whole thing. And I was tiny. I was like 3 or 5 or something. I'm like, that's crazy. But,
That's big hands, too.
all right, well, that's the only stories I've had of that.
Kids on peppermints don't mix.
They really don't. Let that be a lesson, it's like, you have your choice. We're not saying, hey, don't give your kids peppermints. We're just saying, okay, reconsider this story when you think about giving your child a peppermint, okay?
Just don't do it.
Let them leave it up to them, their own judgment. They're the parents. But, my shirt shout out. Okay.
Shout to who?
My mom gave me this shirt. So I don't know if this is going out backwards or what, but it says, I'm a podcast host. Anything you say or do may be used in a story. I just happen to remember, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm wearing my podcast shirt. I'm such a nerd.
Where did you get that from?
There was there was a story that, well, this podcast is mostly stories. There was a part that I walked in Second and Charles one day, and I wanted to get rid of some books. Long story short, I only ended up getting rid of 5 to 8 books. And I'm using estimates because I'm not very good at math, is what it is. And so I walk in, and this dude, I'm wearing this shirt, and this dude, the cashier there, he says, dude, I have to ask. He's like, are you really a podcast host? I'm like, yeah. I didn't think anything of it. I'm like, he's just sitting there talking to people, which I've learned video format is weird now.
It really is.
Not used to a visual of me laughing at it. Went put the face to the laugh kind of deal. It messes you up, throws you all off. So I walk in, and he's like, that's really cool. I'm like, thanks. And so long story short, again, there's a whole thing, and I'm like, yeah, I'm here to sell books. I go and sell the books, they give me a price of how much in cash or how much store credit. So I go back to him, and then when I finally get what I have, it's a pop. If you know me, I love pops, Funkos, the little toys.
Yeah.
What?
Little dolls. Action something.
Action figures?
Yeah, we got that.
Dolls. Man, I'm collecting like Marvel over here, not Barbie, which I have Barbie pops. So I kind of...
What are your Barbie pops for? They got dolls.
I don't know. Do they have Barbie Pops?
You just said they did.
Okay, if that's on there, that's going in Facebook too. All right, you pitch it. All right. So anyway, this dude, he's like, so what are the podcast names? And so I ended up pulling. Well, I pulled. I'm like, I do one about the Bible, and I do like different topics in the Bible, like grace and truth and hope. Just different things, just common stuff. And we actually need to do more topical episodes. We've been doing like Proverbs 3, Proverbs 4 series of Proverbs, and then every other episode. Do they do it?
Yeah, they got a Western Barbie.
Show them. They do Barbie Pops. That's interesting. Okay, thanks, Bret. That's cool. Yeah, we're definitely new to this. And so, but this dude, I showed him. I said, read your Bible, and I showed him the picture. And I'm like, the mind of Joe, and I showed him the picture of that one. And I told him, I said, essentially, with mind of Joe, I just try and uncover the mysterious, the strange. So 16 minutes in, that about opens us up into our episode, the narrative. Story, summary about life in general.
That's a long
right.
intro.
Huh?
That's a long intro.
Well, it wasn't the technical intro, it was just a summarization of the narration.
Okay.
Okay.
Let's
All
go
right.
with that.
All right.
Anyway.
So, brief history of Mothman. When I say summary or brief, it's never going to be a summarized version or a brief version. Just know me, I have ADD. That rhymed. Just know me, and I'll make it exciting for you. Feel free to quote me. So, brief history of Mothman. Bret, you know what Mothman is?
Yes.
Let me tell the viewers, they may not know. So, Mothman is creature. And I know I've said that, hey, I won't discuss anything, that like they haven't for sure proven exists. But the Mothman, his whole thing is, he started out at Point Pleasant, Virginia. And, that was the first place he was seen. Quotes. And he ends up flying by, and there are these people, and they're like, oh, it's a big flying figure. And, I'll clip up a picture of what people say he looks like. Most say he's just some kind of owl, okay? Because he's got big red eyes, he's got huge wings, but people they've described like a human body to it, and that's hence Mothman.
It's like Jeepers Creepers almost.
What?
Jeepers Creepers?
Jeepers Creepers.
You ever seen the movie?
I think I've heard of that.
It's kind of like a Mothman.
Okay. I need to look into it. Are you looking it up?
Yeah.
He's looking it up. Okay, this is our media guy, so he's just gonna forever research anything. So there's one time I thought I saw a Mothman. Okay, 19 minutes, and I'm just now talking about Mothman. Typical. So Bret, you and me take the same road home. There's a certain road we go down. It connects to a highway, connects to another highway I need to get on to go home. Long story short, I was coming down one night, and it was a Wednesday night. We were actually just sitting here like we are tonight. But the whole thing there, is I was driving down. I actually was in front of you. That's all. And it was a big shadow was what it was. And so I'm driving down this dark road, headlights on, and I drive down this dark road, and I see big shadow come across, not really the hood, but kind of like near the top of my car, like where how far the windshield wipers touch, and it kind of, So yeah. So,
That's done.
oh, okay, that's interesting. Weird. So, and so I thought I saw this thing. So I'm like, okay, and I get home and I text Bret, and I'm like, dude, I don't even remember what I said. But I'm just kind of like, essentially, I'm like, did you see that big shadow
That's what it
pass
was,
over?
yeah.
I'm also good at repeating myself, even if it's like way far in the past. But, so I'm like, did you see that big shadow like come over my car on that road? And he's like, no. And I'm like, how did you miss that? Well, Thursday, and this was back before I was employed. This wasn't even but a few months ago, the whole thing there. But our local library has like a crochet club every Thursday. And, it's nice to just sit there and talk to people. That's one of the main causes I do it. I've learned something new doing it. So I'm coming from our library and past a Burger King on the way, nothing out the ordinary with Burger King. So I go by Burger King. Well, the road I stopped on, I hate reliving this, Bret. I hate this. The road I stopped on, there's a telephone pole. Say this is me, and this is a telephone pole. Okay, well, switch that actually. So my hand is my car, and the water bottle is the telephone pole. And so you can't see because the telephone pole's in your way. And so I'm trying to merge into this lane coming this way, not into this lane coming this way. Well, I can't see. I should have just eased up forward, stopped, seen if I could have went. Well, I went, and I tell people, and that's all I heard. And I knew something was wrong. And so I pulled over, and there was a lady, and I'm like, oh dear. And I get out, hands up. I'm like, why are my hands up in the first place? And so I'm like, I'm sorry. I said that at least 30 different times. Just said, I'm like, dude, and so I get out. I'm like, okay, yeah, I know I was in the wrong. She's like, and she asked my mom's name. She's like, aren't you her son? I was like, and I'm thinking, oh goodness.
That makes it worse.
And I'm like, not to mention the fact it was VBS week. So I had to be there by 5, and it was already like 4:30. Mm-hmm. And so I'm on my way to church then, and I'm like, oh goodness. And so my whole thing, I end up getting out, and she knew my mom because she was my grandmother's neighbor. Still is. Still have to see her car and feel bad every time I'm at my. This is such a tragic backstory. I'm like, what am I, Batman?
Batman.
So this lady, I end up tapping her car is how I say it, and the way the street was, there's a church right there. Not our church, is a different local church. We have like 7 different local churches. We have a lot, yeah. Different denominations, so kind of a church for each person. So our whole thing, it was this kind of deal, and so we pull over into like a driveway, like there's a house right there. We pull into a driveway. I'm like, call my dad. I'm like, Dad. Mm-hmm. I'm like, come meet me. I always have bad flashbacks to when I tell a story. I always get too emotional. I'm like, Dad. I'm like, come meet me at Little Caesars. Come meet me by Little Caesars, because there was a Little Caesars across the street where we parked. He said, and VBS, him being the preacher, he's frantic already. So he's like, why is everything? I said, meet me at Little Caesars, and I'm subtle with it. So I'm like, okay, come meet me at Little Caesars. That's what I'm trying to say. Why? Are you hurt? Dad, meet me at Little Caesars. Just come here. I'm about like, dang it, come meet me, Garducky. Garducky is
Oh.
a Disney term. So, long story short, the lady I was in the accident with, I don't like saying Rick. I was in the accident with, because she knew my grandmother, so he's met her before too. Because, well, I think my mom might have grown up with her. I don't know, there's a whole connection there. But so anyway, she's like, yeah, this is, and she said who she was. She said, this is, said my grandmother's neighbor. I don't really like using names. It's kind of like censored. So, you know who you are if you happen to watch this. And so she's like, this is her neighbor. And Dad's like, oh, okay. And so, like, Dad's like, is the church parking lot, okay to meet at? And she said, okay. And so she's like, okay, we're going to meet at this church parking lot. I'm like, cool. I'm like, it's because it was church, back parking lot, like 5 spots in the front, which I don't understand. Superior Avenue.
Yes.
Yeah.
They're moving to.
Yeah, Superior Avenue. They're moving actually to a new building. Yes, thank you. Not paid advertisement. Just a mention.
Be nice though.
Could be nice.
Chicken.
Could be nice. So anyway, so we meet in the church parking lot there, and she's like, yeah, can we do a police report? And when the officer came up, like, I was already jittery from, hey, I'm just shaken up from hitting this person because I busted a headlight out of my car. I dented her whole driver's door. So I got lucky neither of us got hurt because the way I turned, I merged into oncoming traffic-ish. I merged into her lane, hit her, and I could have easily just got my hood all banged up too. Luckily I didn't. Well,
Just a bumper kiss.
I tell all this story. But not to mention that I pointed the wrong direction when the officer came, and she's like, "No, you came from this way." I was like, "Yeah, that's also my bad," because I was all thrown off because it's such a big parking lot. So my whole theory, my whole point in telling this story is I have a theory that, hey, there's a big thing come across that Wednesday night, and then that Thursday, when I'm on my way to church, again, I get in an accident, and I believe that was Mothman. You know, it's probably not, and I probably didn't even really see anything, and so we're actually kind of wrapping up here.
Just a weird thing that happened.
Yeah, it's like you see, like, and then next day but I say all that, and I kind of theorize that it's Mothman. I don't like believing in stuff that's not all the way there, but, and it could have just been anything. Could have been a bug, but, Mothman appears when a disaster happens. So with Point Pleasant, it was a bridge collapse, and like so many people died in that. That's gonna be up on the video. People believe it was reported they saw him right before 9/11, and then 9/11 happened.
Yeah.
It was believed Chernobyl. Chernobyl is the Russian plant, the laboratory plant, and it blew up and mutated all these animals. You've heard about that?
Yeah.
No? Okay. All right. That'll be up to. While I'm talking about stuff I don't like fully believing because it's not all the way there, is UFOs. Well, UFOs, we've done jump scares and stuff. That's what. Never mind. I'm getting ahead of myself. All right, so I was on my stoop one night outside at home. Nothing out the window. I'm taking pictures. I'm like, as the And I see like just like when I do this, if I do this as a blinking light, if I just do this as a light, no, why this motion is a light, but it's gonna be a light. But so I see something and it's just kind of sitting there. And it's slowly moving like so. I'm like, and I'm looking, I'm like, is that an airplane? And again, all these pictures, all these mentions up on the Facebook, my personal Instagram, whatever. But I see just like a plane, like just slowly moving. I'm like, that's not an airplane. So I take pictures, you know, I'm a photographer. I like editing, Bret, you know that. And so I cropped, well, I can copy the picture and then I cropped it and edits to it and all that. And,
Take 3.
all right, so you know, the backgrounds behind us changed. That was all hype. Of course, we're in closing hours for the church. Sounds weird, but it's true. So you know, I was up on my stoop, and I saw light just coming across, and it slowly eased. I'm like, man, what is that? That's not an airplane. And I took pictures, and so I'll put those pictures up on Facebook. And you've seen those?
I don't have Facebook.
No, I mean, but have you seen those pictures? I've sent those to you.
Oh yeah.
And
it wasn't a plane.
it wasn't a plane. And it went, because, you know, airplanes, I live out in the country. So airplanes, sure, they can travel. I've seen so many a night of airplanes. This sucker was not airplane. You know, usually you hear the jet rumbles from like a jet, airplane, biplane, like the smaller planes that they have. But Cessna planes, the smaller airplanes. But then there was one Wednesday night we actually did jump scares, which that'll be posted to YouTube.
That's good.
These videos coming to YouTube soon, and Spotify in video format for the first time. So let's congratulate that. Yeah. So, so I also laugh a lot. I always try to be joyful because my temperament when I was younger was not the nicest I could be. Stories coming soon.
I can't spell it.
So, I'll write down some quick stories. So there's, you know, we watch jump scares, Bret, you know, and nothing out the ordinary. But,
Speaking of jump scares.
oh, I hurt my throat. And so, there was a Wednesday night like tonight. We watched jump scares. We got freaked out. We scared ourselves. Hence jump scare. Jumped out our seats. Bret, you took off. But I ran to the other sucker's side of the... Oh my goodness.
I thought you were going outside.
I thought I was. I saw... And I'm like, whoa. And I bolted running halfway across this place. I'm like, I can't with this.
You ran so fast.
But I'm like, oh, and another story. If you don't know me, well, if you do know me, let me start by saying that. Then you know that I run. Well, that I don't run. That's what I'm trying to say. If you know me, you know I don't run. So if you see me running, I'm either scared of something, I'm running from something, or like I'm about to die. I don't have a third answer. It's like
So you better run too.
yeah. But you know, the whole thing there is okay, there's one time at my grandma's house. It was a little terrier. It was like a schnauzer, maybe mini schnauzer.
Yeah.
I don't know. It was some Scottish terrier. That's what I always picture when this dog was chasing me. But I kicked a rubber ball over the fence by accident. It was one of the big Walmart ones. And so I kicked that over the fence Thanksgiving. So I had to go to the neighbor's yard, and there's a little area between the fence and the ditch that I could walk through.
Yeah.
So I walked the whole house, and I tossed it over, and by that time it was popped with the luck I have. And so I tossed it back over, and it was popped. And so I'm like, good boy, talk to the dog, come stay. And I was like running faster than the Flash himself. I felt like it.
Like, Christ on the dog.
Uh-huh.
You did all that. What the Christ on the dog?
It was the dog. I'm like, oh, dude. So I'm running from the dog because the dog's like right behind me like this. So I'm like, it felt like stop motion. Like, because I don't run. And so, like, I bolted to her front door inside the house. And if you ever saw the layout, I'll probably need to take a picture one day if I can. But, so I just take off running into that house. And I'm like out of breath. Like I can hardly breathe at that age. You know, back to UFOs. So, you know, if I'm running, there's something going on that you need to run from too. He's coming for you.
Oh, dear.
But, so we did jump scares that night. We watched them, and it'll be up. Well, we came outside. Nothing unusual about outside. Look right here, right to our left here, when we were outside. What did we see, Bret?
A UFO.
And we didn't understand what that sucker was. So see, UFO or UFO, I like to call it now, UFO.
Oh, of course.
You know, so UFOs is unidentified flying object. What flies is an object that flies, and you don't know what it is, to dumb it down.
Yeah.
So, you know, that's just a few narrations about different stories that I've seen. You know, maybe I'll have some stuff come up and I can further look into it. But this, you know, and this picture, of course, will also be on Facebook. I'll make separate posts, either between this episode coming out or when it comes out or whatever. That doesn't really matter. But we come out and we happen. How do you scare yourself so much?
I might have catch it. Hey. Strong worker.
I also like to scare him if he's not getting scared without me. But so we walk out and we see a UFO, and it's just sitting there, right? And I take my picture. I'm on night mode, so you know it takes a good 3 seconds or something. So I take my phone and I'm like, and it's like, and Bret's like, it's going, and it's my phone, guys. I had my phone set to like 3 seconds, 5 seconds, whatever the standard night vision time for it is. Mm-hmm. Okay. But tell them what you said.
What did I say?
You don't remember either?
No, I really don't.
All right, so Bret, when I'm in the middle of taking this picture, I already pressed the shutter button. It's on my phone. And it loads slowly. And it's still going. Nothing's weird. But Bret, in the middle of the picture, is like, that thing disappeared. Like, I don't remember how you said it. I just got chills. Come on. I got chills. But this sucker, this UFO, just, and it was gone. Of course, there was a cloud. You may be able to determine in the picture, hey, this is what it is, or give some opinionated views or some insight or some comfort, anything to tell us what we saw. And these, I believe it to be probably about 5 or 6, maybe around 8 different. What are you looking at?
I saw something.
Okay, stop that.
Door ain't locked either, so.
Stop that. So, you know, guys, so, you know, this is the first video in Mind of Joe. This is kind of introducing you to a better build up.
And our faces.
And our faces. Thank you, Bret. Because the last podcast. Well, Read Your Bible, the other podcast, not the last one. The other one that I do is called Read Joe Bible. So if you're interested in biblical Christian stuff too, come check us out over there. And we have already had our first video episode, and we might be coming through computer. We might just come through your TV like Fat Albert. Hey. It's Fat Albert. I'm gonna sing it. All right. That's also gonna be in the video. Watch, guys. It's gonna be right there.
In your face.
All right. So. Hey. Yeah.
Look up right there, TV.
All right, guys. I'm just kind of rambling. So this is our introduction. This is hopefully a build to bigger and better things. Bigger, not implying me. So, thanks for watching, and that's our episode. Thank you for being here, Bret. Joining me on our first video.
That's fine.
Next time.